Hey guys, welcome to today's episode where we dive into the world of Deepin. My name is Kosi and I am joined by my co-host Charlie. Today we have our regular guest, Amazing Will, to discuss three exciting projects in the Deepin space. So the projects we have chose are DIMO, WeatherXM and Aether. So the reason why we chose to talk about Deepin is to showcase how blockchain can be used for other than cryptocurrencies and how you could be part of this amazing ecosystem. Trust me, you don't need to be a crypto expert or know anything about the blockchain to be part of these ecosystems and be rewarded. So I hope you enjoyed as much as we did, and let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome to another Deepin podcast. Again, our usual guest, Amazing Will, joining us. So what we're doing is we are just touching base on a few of the projects which are really making a name for themselves in the current narrative as well. So what the idea of this is, it's not about doing a massive deep dive. It's more like bringing in these networks or these projects to front of mind. So anyone who watches these podcast doesn't need to be super technical. It's almost like, hey, these are the things out there. Let's have a look and let's play. Chada, you would say like pressing buttons, right?
Let's jump in and press some buttons and figure out how it works.
Right? And then, Will, I would say you're a little bit more experienced to talk about this because you have a amazing podcast. I mean, that you guys do daily Deepin. Is it a podcast? It's more like on Discord, right?
We just started the podcast. So our main thing is just like Twitter right now, but we're transitioning into like YouTube as well. But we just did a podcast where we have on different Deepin projects and we just basically hash it out and talk about it, kind of dive deeper into it. But I primarily focus on the entertainment stuff as well. So I'll do like really quick videos explaining stuff, or I'll do threads sometimes. It really kind of, goes here and there, but we just started the podcast. I already have like 3 episodes lined up. So expect to see the other 2 pretty soon.
Sick. I mean, like these are like really good opportunities even for us to learn, right? Yeah. Because our headspace always goes like the dev and technical side of things, and we never get to really lift our head and see, smell the roses, So
well, that's the reason we started Deepin Daily, was to, get past like to have the technicals in there, but also simplify it for the layman. So like the layman could understand it and say, hey, oh, I get this thing now. Perfect.
Yeah, 100%. So I thought, just before we jump into Deepin, what happened was like a couple of days ago, I was talking to someone and they're like, I started watching your podcast, but I don't know what blockchain is. Right? Yeah. So, and interestingly, my thing is like, okay, like we're talking about like all these things, but people asking like, they're asking like, oh, what is blockchain, right? And I feel like people are still thinking they need to know what blockchain is before they can become, they can join in these networks, right? So, Will, I'm going to ask you a question. How much knowledge do you need about blockchain before you can get involved in these ecosystems?
Honestly, when it comes to Deepin, you don't need any knowledge of blockchain at all. That's the beautiful thing about it, is that yes, for some of the Deepins, you might need some awareness of blockchain, but for the most part, they either provide that for you in the application, or you just download an app and start using the service. That's why I love software Deepins. Like, we've talked about Silencia before. I'm wearing the hat, obviously. There's no blockchain mentioned in that whatsoever. Like, you just download the app, you start using it, you get tokens, and eventually down the road, when the token does drop, they'll probably have a step-by-step basis of how to claim that and like sell it if you want to. But that's what I'm saying, is like, you don't necessarily need to know anything about blockchain to kind of understand what this thing is. And then same thing for Helium Mobile. It's a cell phone. It's a cell phone plan. You sign up for the cell phone plan. Bam, it's cheap. Oh, it works. Got it. My cell phone works. Like, you don't even need to know what blockchain is to have that.
Yeah. I think that's super important, because I think people are like, oh, these are only for techies, and the nerds, and I'm like, not really, but I'll make a point and bring that up in our next podcast. So we just really want to make sure that people don't get scared and not get involved, because we want more people to get, we really want to onboard more people, right?
Yes. Blockchain's always meant to be the back end. It's always meant to be that thing that supports what we're doing, but the front end is what really brings people in. So as long as you make the front end simple and easy to use, has a great UI, everyone easily understands it, and people don't need to understand the tech necessarily.
Yeah, exactly. So before we jump into Deepin, how you been? You been good?
I've been good, man. I've been good. I just, we got the podcast started up. It's been a grind. Been doing lots of filming, lots of editing, lots of talking, lots of meetings. But yeah, my wedding's coming up. It's coming up in about a month and a half now. So I'm getting a little jitters. It's starting to become real now,
Right. Proof of love.
A lot of bills. Proof of love, and a lot of bills are becoming due. So it's been next to my bank account where it's like, hey, these deposits are due, and I'm like, oh boy, here we go. But no, I'm really excited to spend the rest of my life with her. She's my best friend, and I'm really stoked to get married. That's going to be a lot of fun. That's the next big thing happening in my life.
Oh, mate, awesome. I mean, like, what's been happening with us, Charlie?
Well, I actually wanted to know, where are you guys at on the Silencio leaderboard? Is it the Silencio leaderboard? Like,
come on.
Man, I find it's now it's a grind getting up there. It's like the higher you go, the harder it gets, because everyone's like 20,000 points away. You know what I mean? 10,000, and then I finally cracked the 1 million mark, and after that, you can't really see what that next person is, right? So you have to guess, like, oh, actually, it's like, I think I would love to ask Silencio, like, hey, you know what? It's like so good in, further down the ladder, because you can see like, oh, you know what? I only need like 100 or 1,000 or 50, and then it gets you up and just like, oh, you know what? Let me go and hammer this down. You know what I mean? And 1 million, 1.1 million, 1.2 million, and it's like, you know what? Oh, actually, I don't know where they are at, and
you have me beat by a mile, but you have me beat by a ton, by the way, because I use it every day and I walk my dogs, but like I'm trying to use it way more. I guess I'm not using it nearly enough as you are, or I don't have as many referrals as you do that are working their butts off. I have one referral who like does a lot, and I get 5% of their rake, obviously, but then everyone else is lazy. No one else wants to do it. My fiance's on there. She doesn't collect points. I have to remind her when we're out at dinner. I'm like, babe, come on, turn your venue on. Measure this venue. She's like, oh, I forgot. I'm sorry, babe. I'm like,
oh, my highest referral earnings like 187 points. I checked it like this morning, and I'm like, oh, come on, guys, seriously, get out there.
Texting them like, what are you doing? Get it? Start turn on your app already.
Yeah, cool. All right, that's where we are at.
Nice, and well. On another note, I've finally hit 19,500 of my coin market cap diamonds. So I've been grinding that for a good year and a half now.
There you go.
Me and Cozzy were doing it, and then I think Silencio took all Cozzy.
No, I do collect it still.
You still collect?
I think it's about 15,000 maybe.
15.
Oh my goodness.
That's pretty good.
What are these diamonds? What are they?
So coin market cap, they have a daily login. And you just go in and then claim daily, and it marks up. But there's sort of cool stuff. They got discount on tickets. They've got full-fledged tickets. They've got like NFT, all sorts of stuff. But I'm just not spending mine. I'm waiting for CoinMarketCap to tokenize it, and I'm hoping there's a cool DAO where you can like.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's like a long game, Charlie.
Yeah, that's it, mate. But we'll see what happens. It's all on CoinMarketCap, and it's interesting.
That's your mindset. You're just like, I'm gonna hoard all of this. I'm gonna wait for something special, because like you see all the gimmicky stuff, and you're like, no. Let's wait.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah. But yeah, besides that, mate, we've been flat out on our side with AI, a big new crypto project, which is interesting. RWA one coming our way, and just our own internal marketing that we're preparing for. So building some stuff there. Yeah, and meetings and meetings and meetings.
All
and
meetings.
podcasts
It's like
in
literally what
between.
most of it is. 80% of it's just showing up to meetings. That's like that's what business is. I always tell people, I'm like, you literally just show up to meetings and talk for a little bit. That's like all you have to do.
I guess you get to get to the point faster, right?
Yeah.
I hate the meetings that are like, oh, this could have been said in an email. You know, like someone could have sent me an email for this, and it's like
Yeah.
that we have to like all meet and talk about this because I was just eating breakfast and you just interrupted me. Thanks.
All right, guys, let's jump into it. Hey,
Let's do it.
all right.
do it.
So let's get into our monthly sort of the Deepin catch up. So let's talk about which one should we pick? Will, what's your preference?
We can start with Aether just because I'm involved with the only one I'm not involved with personally is WeatherXM because I haven't bought their device yet, but I am going to be buying their token soon, and we'll get to that obviously.
Cool.
But let's go ahead and start with Aether. So what Aether is, if no one here knows what Aether is it's a GPU AI like compute project, and what I mean by that is in the Deepin space, you have lots of projects that are GPU compute. And what that is like, think of cloud computing, like rendering a video game, rendering AI services that like, ChatGPT might use, for instance. And you're decentralizing, like you're outsourcing all of the compute needed to generate that to people who have GPUs sitting in their computers. And if I sign up to this service, if I sign up for Aether, for instance, and I give them my GPU access, I essentially help render those tasks. And in return, I'm paid out in tokens. I'm paid out in cash or tokens. Aether is just one of those projects. And a unique thing about them is that they're not just a GPU compute, but there's also these things called checker nodes. And the checker nodes essentially check the uptime as well as the quality of the compute nodes. And so they're creating quality assurance in GPU compute by saying, hey, listen, like, are these GPUs actually doing what they're supposed to be doing? And are they up to our standards to create the kind of no lag gaming environment that we want, in a video game sense, obviously. But that's pretty much what Aether is and how it stands out.
Yeah. So, where would you join? Do you join at the container level, the checker, or the index? So where would you? Are you a checker node or a?
I'm a checker node. So the way you can sign up to be a container being a GPU compute provider, is you have to own Aether tokens and stake it, as well as sign up like with Aether and meet the qualifications that they require of your GPU. Because again, they're different in the sense that they're not just letting anyone join. They just say, hey, listen, like, what kind of GPU do you have? And can your network and GPU meet our standards? Like, because we need you to have an uptime of X hours and whatnot, or like, just X quality you're pushing out, so that we can tell our customers, hey, listen, you're going to get the best experience ever. And so I'm not on that side because I didn't want to necessarily put up a bunch of Aether tokens for that. So I bought a checker node when they first came out. And so now my computer, my GPU periodically checks on those containers and makes sure that they're running and they're running up and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
So for that one, Will, do you need a GPU for the checker node, or can you just have just like any computer there?
I believe you do, but it's not nearly as high quality as what something like a container would need, like an actual GPU compute would need. And that's one of the reasons that I love Aether so much, is because you can actually get involved without needing the crazy hardware. Like, all you need is like access to like a minimal amount of hardware, and you say, hey, listen, go ahead and take up this much RAM, this much of my GPU. That's fine. And let my checker node run in the background, and then you'll be allotted tokens on a daily basis for doing that.
Yeah. I mean, the best thing about Aether is that who's the other guys, the render guys, right? Yep. And it's good to see like these type of ecosystem coming up, and especially like after the most of the blockchains gone to proof of stake, all the proof of work, GPU sitting there. And why not just plug them up? And now AI is,
exactly.
Actually what GPUs always find a way to come back. Hey, it's gaming or AI or.
I don't know if you saw Sam Altman from OpenAI, the guy, the creators of ChatGPT. He mentions that compute, like GPU computers, compute in general, is going to be one of the most valuable resources in the world, like in the future. because there's not enough of it. There's not nearly enough compute out there. Everyone thinks it's all like, ChatGPT just works. No, they need tons of servers for that. Like they have so much compute power behind that, and it's very expensive to run. So it makes sense to decentralize these systems, because not only are you just removing all that overhead from you, you're actually creating a more equitable and efficient system, energy efficient system.
True. I mean, it's interesting, like, because before it was like, oh, Bitcoin eating up all this power, but now AI is using all this power. Like, okay, it's not grid anymore.
Before you know, it's going to be like, oh man, like Kazi's house is using up all this power, all the D-pins that he has.
Oh my God. I mean, like, look, it's sometimes people would point fingers at certain technologies because they can't get involved. So only they can do is like, what there are things like, either you build the tallest building in the city, or you can bring everyone down and then you become the tallest building, right? So I'm a great believer in building the tallest building. I think, when it comes to these things about energy usage and things like that, everyone was like, piping up about, what Bitcoin is doing. Cryptocurrency is like eating up energy and it's not green. But in the AI space, it's not as much louder. No one's screaming up and down saying like, oh my God, AI is bad for the environment, because guess what? Every one of those people start using ChatGPT. Everyone use AI, and no one really complaining about it.
Well, I think it's because also there's utility, like people are using it, like you said, and so they in their minds they forgive it. Like they're like, oh, this thing is useful in my everyday life, so I'm not even going to bother thinking about the power this is consuming. Whereas like not everyone's on board with Bitcoin yet, and so they can look at it. They can look at it with a lot more scrutiny and say, oh, that thing, it's bad. It's sucking up power. It doesn't. It's fake money. What is this thing? Even though they're like, oh yeah, they have no idea what it is, obviously. But
yeah. No, it's all good. It's all good. So, I just want to like step from there to the blockchain that Aether is built on. Like I'm seeing more and more projects are jumping onto Arbitrum, right? It's a L2 blockchain on like EVM based. So, what's your take on that? Like, does it really matter when it comes to the front end that what blockchain that these projects use?
I don't think it matters nearly as much as a lot of people think. Like, as long as your application works and as long as there's a market for it, build it on whatever chain you want. As long as that chain works and is secure, like as long as it's fast, cheap, and secure, it doesn't matter. Like it literally does not matter. As if you're building on like Bitcoin layer 1 or ETH layer 1, good luck. Like more power to you. But if you're building on like Solana or like Arbitrum, for instance, or Peak, these like kind of really cheap and easy to use blockchains, like I feel like you're going to be way better off, because again, all you got to do is make a really good app that has that in the back end, and then you're set.
Are you looking to integrate your business systems with cutting-edge AI technology? Our expert team is here to help you use the power of AI to innovate, streamline, and enhance your current business operations. Contact us today at 1-800-870-200 or visit blockstars.com.au.
Yeah. I mean, with the so for you use proof of love, right? So in your life, so
yeah. We'll call it love.
Yeah, exactly, right. You can go to tell your partner like, hey, honey, proof of love,
Sure, I'm gonna use that tonight. We're gonna have dinner tonight. I'm using that, by the way. I'm just letting you know.
Right. Guess what? You thank me later. All right. So, and so here the Aether use like the proof of rendering. So they're saying like, okay, like if the service is not delivered well, and they get like as you said, Will, that you had to put tokens, you had to lock up some tokens, right? And I think this is a very well known model, isn't it, Charlie?
Yeah.
When it comes to consensus, like what is the reason for that locking up the tokens?
Proof of stake really is to make sure that you've got, really it's, to explain it easy, is you put your skin in the game and you do the right thing. If you're caught doing the wrong thing, you lose your stake. So it gets taken away from you. So that builds
model,
So that builds a trust within the network, and it incentivizes people to do the right thing.
Especially if you have this especially if you once you have this hardware, right, and if you're going and providing these services, how do you keep these people, the service providers accountable? Like if you do the same thing with, can you believe, like all these banks, for example? Okay, if the bank side what if the side goes down? Okay, I want you to give me money.
It's funny you bring up banks because wouldn't that be interesting if like they lost some skin in the game, if they were found to be corrupt, or like they didn't
Yes.
they had liquidity problems, or they weren't doing the thing they're supposed to be doing? Because if I feel like every time they get caught with their pants down, they just get bailed out. And so it's like they literally operate these networks and they don't have any skin in the game, because they're just like, oh, we're bailed out. Like, we have tons of money coming in. It's fun. It's like, what? Like this, you're just incentivizing bad behavior at that point.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
And none of them go to prison either.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Shucks. Oh boy.
Like, I think, I mean, like, look, when it comes to service providers, we talk about like mobile service providers as well, right?
Yep.
And if they have like sort of, I know that major like mobile providers, if they are like critical service to the platform, to this, what do you call it, to the popular, like, there's a 911, or is it like 000, that
they're a like central service.
central services, right? So they have like tight contracts and they get penalized. But if you're not, then there's nothing to hold you back apart from customers, getting angry at you. But but now the things like what they have here is like incentivizing, like, it's the credits, right? Download. Okay, you got bandwidth. I mean, like, bandwidth. Who uses bandwidth these days? It's just like, you know what I mean? it doesn't not matter anymore.
No.
Like, sorry, the service is down. We're going to give you like 100, I don't know, 1 gig. Who cares? Give me money.
In the early 2000s, that would have been like, oh, I got a free gig. Now it's like,
no one really cares. So I think, I have a feeling that, like really the non-Web3 companies could really look at learning from the Web3 world. And I think putting if you want to provide a service, okay, all good, but become part of the ecosystem, and you have responsibility now.
No, exactly. I feel like and to your point about Web2 companies like utilizing these services, Aether already has a big game behind it. So Genshin Impact, that like kind of, I don't know if you've seen that anime style game. It's on phones. It's been around for a while. It's kind of like a gacha game. It's basically just a free to play, like, RPG game. You can play on your phone, you can play on your computer and whatnot. But a lot of their cloud computing is done using Aether. Aether. They utilize Aether services. Yeah. So they use a decentralized cloud computing service, Aether, and anyone streaming the game to their phone, for instance, is utilizing Aether, and they don't even know it. They're utilizing blockchain tech, and they have no idea they're doing it.
That's the beauty.
That's hot. The beauty. Yeah. Exactly. And I think Aether, I thought they also have some mobile platform as well. I think they're building something with mobile.
I don't know much about the mobile, but I think I know what you're talking about. I think I've seen something along the lines with Aether, because there's a lot of GPU compute projects to keep up with. So I'm always just like going back and forth.
Oh man.
Yeah, there's so many.
Yeah. All right. So Aether is all about the compute, GPU, and there's so much information on the Aether platform, and we're gonna publish that information here with the podcast, so anyone can go there and have a look how they manage their networks and the security and what it all entails and how to be part of it. So pretty much there is like really to onboard, to get involved with Aether. There are different ways you can get involved. Either if you become a GPU provider, you go and put your GPU, and as you said, Will, you put like some Aether behind it and you become it. Otherwise, you become a checker node. You don't have to have a powerful computer, but you can become part of the network. So
exactly.
And what's the market cap of the token?
Let's pull it up, guys. Let's see. Coin market cap, Aether.
It's ATH, isn't it?
Yeah, all-time high, ATH. Yep.
All-time high.
The current market cap is 277 million. It looks like their circulating supply is 3 billion right now, or almost 4 billion. with a total
Yeah.
supply of 42 billion. So take that as you will. Their fully diluted market cap is 3 billion right now. Yes.
So like, look, you can see there's some history in there, and they are, obviously these are all early projects, and we are just trying new things, right? We are doing new things in this space and creating new economies and new ways of earning potential. And
if you think about it too, AI compute, like $3 billion is nothing for that
nothing.
market cap. Like it's
Exactly.
it's so tiny. So like these things, these tokens and these projects, they have like lots of potential. Especially because, again, like they're already being utilized by these gaming companies. It only goes up from there because the need for compute it's not going down, it's going up.
It's going up.
Because you have more people being born, you have more users hopping online. It's just more things eating up data, needing to process and compute things. So it just makes sense that you need to provide more compute power to meet those needs.
100%. Yeah. And it's with Aether, it's mainly do with gaming and AI, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Computing. As far as I know, it's only gaming and AI. They have a third leg, I think, as well, but I think it's majority gaming and AI.
Gaming and AI. Awesome. All right. What's the next platform you can talk about?
The next platform is one of my favorites, actually. DIMO. So it's DIMO, DIMO Network to be specific. They are they're an automotive data collection company. And what I mean by that is that your car, like all the stuff happening with your car, like how the throttle is working, how much gas you're using, just the health of your vehicle, that data about it is valuable to auto manufacturers. Now, I can't get into specifics on why it is. They love having that information on hand because I guess it helps them, either improve future products or, just kind of a myriad of reasons why they would need it. But there is a market for that data consumption as well as like kind of API connections, like a stream of data, as well as insurance providers. Insurance providers like knowing that stuff because they like knowing the safety levels of vehicles or like, for instance, like how fast is on average are people who drive this vehicle going? Like maybe we can change rates regarding that vehicle. So that data about your vehicle is very, very, very valuable, and there's a market for it. And so what DIMO does is you buy a device, you buy a piece of hardware called a macaron or an AutoPi. There's two different ones right now. You attach it to your car. There's a little thing on the bottom that links into your computer. I forgot the exact terminology of said plugin, but it's a plugin that all these automakers use. And you can plug it in, bam, you're done. You download the app, you link up to your device, and now not only are you collecting tokens passively every week, getting fed tokens, but anytime there is specific data about your vehicle purchased, you're paid out more tokens. And the really neat part about DIMO isn't the fact that you're also getting tokens, but the fact that you can, on your phone, on your app, you actually have a full layout of all the health schematics of your vehicle. And so free application with this device allows you to see the health of your vehicle. You can see if your throttle is starting to kind of give out. You can see if the clutch or the transmission's having issues. You can see how much tire pressure is in your tires in some cases, if you have like a newer vehicle. And it just goes on. And there's GPS tracking of all of them also. And so, like, let's say, you give your vehicle to like a friend or something, or you want to make sure they're not like running away with your car or something. You have GPS access to that. I just love that they're essentially turning all vehicles into smart vehicles.
I think
on that one, Will, how much does the actual boxes that you connect to your car cost? The hardware,
the hardware. So I think it ranges from, I think a macaron is $100, and then an AutoPi is like $350. The macaron, it uses the helium network periodically, so it's not connected 24/7, but it sends data in bursts. Meanwhile, the AutoPi has a cellular connection, and so it uses cell phone towers and has a constant stream of data. And it actually nets you a little bit more tokens too if you have the AutoPi device.
Yeah, because I'm almost thinking like, you could almost get these and then plug them into car rental cars, right? And then give them health checks on their cars and collect all the tokens for yourself.
That's what people do. You have these guys that are popping up called fleet managers. And so what they'll do is they'll buy a bunch of DIMO devices and they'll just give them out for free. And all they do is they set up a contract with the people that give out to these individuals and say, hey, listen, I'll maintain your DIMO device. I bought it for you. I want half of what you make. I want half the tokens that come in. And so now these fleet managers are giving people access, including myself. I have two DIMO devices in my car, and one in my personal car, one in my fiance's car. And so both of those are from a friend of mine. He runs a fleet. And so I got those devices for free, and he collects half of what we make from that. And so we collect, obviously, no skin off our backs, just collecting tokens on a weekly basis, and we get access to that information about our vehicles. And so, the cool thing about what he does is he also has clients who have fleets, like who have Uber fleets, who have companies who have like a fleet of vehicles for whatever reason they have a fleet of vehicles for, plumbers, like painters, electricians, stuff like that. They have like 10 vehicles on staff. And sometimes they want to know like what their guys are doing. They want to know like, oh, is this car functioning? Is something wrong with it? They can GPS track them on their phone now, like with the DIMO device, and get subsidized for that with DIMO tokens. It's a win-win. It's a free app too. It's a win-win situation.
Yeah. It's funny with evolution, what it spawns, there's a whole business model just in buying the devices and plugging them in for other people. It'd be interesting to know that return on investment too, like what's that time period, like 3-6 months? Well, I guess it depends how far they're driving.
If you're a friend of, if you're like my friend, his name, I'll shout him out. His name's Suburban Crypto. He is a really big Deepin head. He has a ton of devices. I forgot the exact number, but he's almost at like 1,000.
Wow.
Yeah, and he has a very large fleet. And he told me how many tokens he has, and I was like, oh my God. And he's just like, yeah, he's like, I'm just sitting on him. He's like, I'm just sitting on him waiting for the price to appreciate, and then I'm going to retire. And I'm like, okay, that's a business model.
That's awesome. And it's funny talking about, the value in that data. Data's the new oil we talk about, but I was actually watching a short clip from Kevin O'Leary on Shark Tank. And they're talking about this lady in America, and she was very passionate about the project when she was pitching. But what it was cat DNA tests, right? And Kevin O'Leary's like, why would someone spend $29 on a bloody cat DNA test when the cat only costs $5?
Yeah.
But I don't know. Depends what they're doing. In America, they must be a lot cheaper because you want a ragdoll hair, it's like $1,000 for one of them cats. It's a business in itself. But what the interesting thing is it was one of the best investments Kevin O'Leary done. He put $250K in there and just said, because of how passionate she was. Sold it 5 years later for the data that of all these cats that people had DNA tested for $70 million. And they didn't want the DNA testing kits. They just wanted the data that they had collected.
That's important, man. Data, and just like compute, we talked about with Aether, like the need for data and the amount of data out there is not going down; it is going up. It is a chart that goes to the right and up, like constantly.
It's crazy, right? So, so Kevin O'Leary used cats, right, for data collection, right, for Deepin, right? So, what type of animals would you use?
What animals would I use? Besides Deepin dog, my puppy that I attach devices to and make her walk around with, cats wouldn't be bad because if you have an outdoor cat, because then they can go out to the environment, they're very agile and quick, and they'll be able to go and meander around and whatnot. But if you have an indoor cat, it's kind of pointless. I would say beyond that, maybe like a alligator. We've talked about gators early on. They're very outdoorsy. You collect a lot of geographic data with them. So alligators would be my answer.
Right. Look, anyone who's listening to this, they're going to find a way to, wrestle one of those alligators to get a collar on.
Minister of Florida Waterways. Connect with Will and find out more.
Come find me in Florida. We'll hunt down gators together. It's fun.
What's that program they showed here? Like Swamp People, right?
I love it.
Wow.
Swamp People.
Yeah, man. That made me want to try alligator because they deep fried it one time, and I was like, man, that looks really good.
It's really good. You guys are missing out, dude. You guys.
Wow, there you go. That's awesome. All right, so so DIMO is built on Polygon, which is a layer 2 on Ethereum, right? And again, just like Aether, it's using a EVM, like layer 2. And Polygon is like really doing some crazy things out there. Hey, they're constantly building. They're like building quite a few. I think they use like with the egg layer and the CDK and quite a few of those technologies. I think they're really opening up the market into even their DID as well.
That future tech, within the next 10 years, the interoperability,
like
people being able to create their own chains a lot easier, and the ag layer tied in there where you can cross between, so shared liquidity. It's been a problem in crypto for a long time, that,
fragmented liquidity. Yeah, it's always been an issue with like layer 2s, I always find too, because if you have like a billion layer 2s, it's like, okay, like that's a billion points of fragmented liquidity that we can all just unify somehow. So yeah, they're, as far as I know, DIMO is built on Polygon right now. I think I spoke with Alex, one of the co-founders, a bit ago at Consensus, and I think he mentioned that they were looking into like they're adding DIMO to like other networks as well, so they can like be omni-chain.
Yeah, that's pretty good, I think. I mean, there's no reason why not to, given that the interoperability is just around the corner, like a true interoperability, and it is coming. Like everyone, there are quite a lot of smart people working on that sort of tech. So with using DIMO, I was going to ask you a question. We're like, hey, does it matter like what type of car you got? And I thought like maybe it's only for the electric cars, but then you mentioned like it's the same thing. You plug into that when you go to your services, right? They plug in that computer, and then they're like, okay, oh, you got problems with your whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's pretty much the same unit, I assume.
So what it really does is the specific car you have, it does matter to a degree of like extra payments. So like let's say you have a very popular car that like this car company that you're driving, like let's say I have a Ford, Explorer, or I have a Ford Escape, and let's say like Ford wants to pay for data on the specific type of Escape that I have, then they get it through DIMO, and then all of a sudden like I am paid more tokens because of that. Like because you get a weekly income, like a minimal tiny income every week, like just a little mini airdrop, but then you'll get more if like your specific vehicle is requested, like that data is purchased. But also like we talked about before, you just mentioned electric cars. I mentioned that all these vehicles are turning into smart vehicles now, like with DIMO. DIMO is helping them turn into smart vehicles. But the cool thing about current smart vehicles, like Tesla, for instance, they have that app dashboard. They have like a computer built into the car. And so what DIMO's done is they've gone above and beyond, and they actually created an app on Tesla cars. And so you don't actually need to buy the device if you have a Tesla. You can just download the app on the Tesla computer and access DIMO and have a DIMO account right there, and you'll earn tokens just like everyone else.
All right.
Yeah, because it's already, I guess a lot of that, the bits and pieces are already within the Tesla, so it's just tapping in.
Yep.
And retrieving that info.
Yeah, and so it's accessing current infrastructure as well as adding to that infrastructure with those hardware pieces. It's pretty incredible.
That's pretty cool.
I think that like I've got a few mates that are really good with cars, and me personally, I suck at cars.
Nathan's pretty good.
Nathan's a gun. Older cars I'm all right at. The new cars, you pop it up and you're like, I'm not even going to touch that, right?
It's only a black box.
Yeah.
Just put your thing on your turn and then it's dry.
It's computer.
But yeah, I've got a mate, and I always remember him telling me, he told me years ago about this, and he said never buy the first release of a new edition car, like say, a new edition of a Mitsubishi Triton or a Toyota Hilux, because that's where all the errors come in, because they've got new gearboxes, changed engines, new body shapes, new suspension, and you never know what's wrong with that first release. So if you actually had all the DIMO devices straight onto these first release cars, there'll still be recalls and fix-ups and, like something from as little from a seal to gearbox failure, or you've got emission problems, where by the second edition, that could all be fixed because everyone would be connected to DIMO, and they would pay a lot of money for that information.
I guess that's what you mentioned, right?
That's what Alex is bullish about. Alex from DIMO is always, he said, hey, listen, like this goes so deep that no one even like realizes, like it's not just insurance companies buying this data, it's the actual car manufacturers. They want to know to the detail specifics about these vehicles that they can't know because they can't just attach this stuff to, like, they don't have the means of attaching it to these cars and incentivizing people to leave them in their cars, because the only reason I'm even putting this in my car is because I'm getting paid for it, right? But I'm also getting the added benefit of knowing what's going on with my car, on a free app. And so the fact that they can just like kind of co-opt that in a business model maybe in the future and say, hey, listen, we'll buy a bunch of DIMO devices and we'll add this as an option when we sell this car. So when you sell the car, you can be like, hey, listen, do you want to pay, maybe like some like, some arbitrary number, and or not even pay at all. Just say, hey, do you want this added feature where we like, we cover the device and we collect half of what it generates, but you'll get paid and you get to see what is going on with your car. And I think most people would say, I'll take it. Sure, money. I like money. Yeah, money's great. Like, that's the thing is, like, people don't realize, like, Deepins are so great for adding income streams, including, like, especially with what DIMO's doing, Aether, all these guys we've talked about before, Silencio, like, you can diversify revenue streams. And no one really understands it until they start making money and they say, oh, I get it now.
Yeah. So we spoke about money is always good, right? You get rewarded. Okay, with that one, I would really like to bring in the security hand in hand. I love that security side of things, which they do have a feature in case we're like, oh my God, I don't want to tell the whole world where I live or where I work, or so certain areas. So I believe DIMO has a security feature built in.
Yeah. So yeah. So as far as I know, if you have a fleet manager, let's say I get it through a fleet, like I'm part of my buddy's fleet, Suburban Crypto's fleet. He has GPS access to what I'm doing, but not the people that are buying data off of him or off of like these devices. They don't have access to the GPS data, as far as I know. Or exact. They don't have specifics. Like, they don't know what my address is, because anonymity. Sorry, I can't say the word anonymity. I can't say that word. I don't know why. It's been a long day. Being anonymous. Yeah. As well as, having that private data is very important to people. And I think that, DIMO has that in mind with these devices. So I would rest assured that a lot of these Deepins that we're talking about now have privacy and security at the forefront of their protocols and of their minds.
And I think what DIMO also does is, like, they allow you to exclude a radius. So geofencing, so that you can say, like, okay, as soon as I go to this area, stop tracking me.
Yes.
Like, sorry, you just reminded me of Uber and Apple.
Okay.
Yeah, blackout zones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember the Super Pumped TV show?
Oh, yes.
Where Uber blocked out
the whole
thing at the Apple office.
Yeah. So I think this is what so these guys have done. So that pretty much you can say, like, if you don't want to share your details of where you live, for example,
that's good.
You can put like maybe a 1 kilometer radius, so that as soon as you enter that geofence area, it stops tracking. Stops tracking. So so it's great, like they have built in, and they're anonymizing the data as well, which is great, because end of the day, what you're going to share with the car makers and people like that is the anonymized data, because end of the day, I think it's good for them to know, okay, look, we had these two cars, one is in in some part of other Australia and one other part in, like, I don't know, Alice Springs. How would those work in high temperature and in someone in subtropics? The cars work differently, right? The distances they travel and all sorts.
And a lot of these purchasers of this data, they usually buy it in aggregate. They usually buy it in a collective, and so having specific data points isn't necessarily the selling point. It's the abundance of the data. That's what makes it valuable. So when you have when you have 50,000 Ford Escapes that have this issue and that issue is reported, that data is very valuable because now you have an abundance of it. Whereas if like 10 Ford Escapes have one issue, it's not necessarily as valuable because that's not as big of a problem to Ford,
While you're talking, Nathan has pulled out some information, and the Macaron, if you use the Macaron device, you get twice the amount of rewards, but if you use the AutoPi, you get 6 times the tokens.
It goes up a ton,
Yeah. So, I mean, like, look, they have a marketplace. I think, like, all these things, I think the good things about bringing, like, other like, what do you call, what's it called? The complementary services and products, right? With the insurance and
being able
all
to
those.
buy stuff through the marketplace is very important to them. Yeah, because like they want to make DIMO the one-stop shop for your car. So it's like if I need an oil change, I can order one through DIMO. If I need to request like new tires, I can do it through DIMO at a discounted price using DIMO tokens.
Yeah. So it's a pretty good device again. So let's just bring it all together. So with DIMO, to get on that network, it will be $100 plus, sometimes like 140.
Unless you need a fleet manager, yeah. Unless you do an agreement with someone who wants to give you the device for free and they take half the profit of it, yes, it'll cost you about $100 to get started. So the other part with that one hardware is almost like probably there'll be a back order, I would say, at some point, if it's the supply demand. Let's not get into that.
Like
a lot of these Deepins are new, so they do have supply chain issues. I ordered my Hive Mapper device 6 months ago or 4 months ago, and that still is not here. So it's not. Yeah.
I think it's not. Yeah, I think that's not even like really just Deepin the hardware in general. It's from COVID, there's still
from that.
Supply chain issues globally.
Yeah,
and blockchain might solve that in the future, right? Who knows? And everyone will say, "Oh, what? Everything works better now. I don't understand it." And then we'll all know. We'll all be sitting there laughing, drinking our champagne, going, "We told you guys. We told you guys to buy these silly meme tokens," and no one listened. But here we are, drinking champagne and having a good time.
So one thing I took from earlier was that once Silencia drops their token, I'm going to go and buy a Tesla, right? Then I can get the demo app. I don't have to pay that $100. Right? I don't wait for the hardware, right?
Well, don't they have DIMO devices in the marketplace on Silencia? I think they have some in the marketplace.
Yeah, they do. But
so you can use
I'm
your
not
tokens to buy it now.
I'm not spending anything. I'm just waiting for that. Get that token drop.
You get that hoarding mindset that Charlie's got. You got you're hoarding your diamonds. You're hoarding your North.
That's it. Are you planning to launch a blockchain project? At Blockstars, we specialize in developing blockchain projects from your initial idea to the final product. To launch your successful blockchain project, drop us an email to hello@blockstars.com.au. And they have a token. So the token is the DIMO token.
Yes.
What does that looks like, Will?
Oh, the price of it?
Yes.
DIMO right now is, let me see here. Currently it's trading at 15 US cents. And the market cap is $34 million, but fully diluted, it's only $154 million. So honestly, it is super undervalued in my opinion. This is extremely undervalued. At some point we should see crazy price. Like it looks like it pumped up pretty hard to 60 cents back in the day, like back in December when the token initially came out, or back in August even. But then it's had a slow kind of steady fall off just a little bit, like a little bit of sell pressure here and there. But I feel like once people know more about DIMO, it's going to definitely skyrocket.
Definitely skyrocket, right? Exactly. Cool. Awesome. And the last Deepin project, which one?
WeatherXM. So WeatherXM. Again, I'm not personally mining this one yet. I know a decent amount. I wouldn't say I'm an expert in WeatherXM, but I'll tell you what I've learned, and we'll go from there. So WeatherXM is essentially, just like the name suggests, it's a weather Deepin. And what you do with that is you buy a device, you install it on your house, and it tracks your hyper localized, super localized weather data. Because the way weather's data is currently collected, it's very, very generic, and it's not super accurate. So you don't have like hyper specific, Mayfair, like whatever road you're on, like Mayfair Road or Monroe Street down over here is, it's experiencing rain at this exact second. You don't have that kind of hyper really accurate data currently. And so WeatherXM collects all that data. You have people install these devices, and then people who want to purchase it, they can use it through APIs. I think they service it with like live streaming data. They don't actually sell it in aggregate. They actually sell like live stream API keys, as far as I know. And so you sign up for these licenses, you buy that said data from them, or you buy these licenses, which allows you to collect that data or purchase it. And then there you go. You have hyper localized data.
I mean, like at the moment, the weather, the models. I was doing some research, but 3 or 4 weeks ago. Because of I think they had like other day. I think we had a earthquake close by here, like yesterday or day before, 7 point something. I think it's in the Philippines or somewhere on there.
Oh, I thought you meant like close to Gold Coast. I was like,
I was about to say, you guys have like terrible fires and earthquakes. Like, what the hell is going on in Australia, dude?
I think
I've only felt like, because I grew up in New Zealand, Will, so I've only felt like maybe 1 or 2 earthquakes since living here in the last like 18 years.
I didn't, and I don't expect to see.
But in New Zealand, it was a common occurrence. There was earthquakes.
You got the ground shaking. It's fine.
Yeah, it's all right. Wake up! Oh, it's just another. I'll just sleep through this.
We don't have earthquakes down in Florida, but I experienced my very first one at NFT NYC in New York.
Oh, right.
New York City had an earthquake. It was wild. I never experienced one before in my life, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is an earthquake!" And it lasted like 5 seconds, and it was gone. And I was like, "Oh wow!"
Wow. I guess you can't really about it. You can't run around. You can't run away from it. You just have to
jump under a table.
Really, it's just finish your cocktail and go like, "Oh, that's just life." That's he said.
like all these things, all the beer
we're good
on the face. Like, oh, seriously. So I was like doing some research, and I realized like this, news corporations, when the weatherman and all those, they pay a hefty licensing fee to get this data because they are like computer generated. So they get these data points at the weather stations that, as you said, like they are like set up. I think we have one here on the Gold Coast, like
tambourine, like that big
like all the way up. So and they use like computer models to generate these weather patterns, and it just like super heavy on computation. And what they're saying is now one of the biggest what they call solution, like what they're saying, like once you get the quantum computing, it's going to be a lot easier to create these models because the computing power is like it doesn't take that long to do these ones, because at the moment it takes almost like a day to generate what's happening next, or even longer to do the lot more, like the span of the time span. So with something like WeatherXM, now you're pushing this constant data to a place that people can use, and it's a lot more accurate. And they use proof of location so that they know where the device sits. So that they know that, okay, this is exactly where it is, so proof of location. And
exactly.
So it's like, look, it's just and they when I did some research on WeatherXM, but they said they only do 4 licenses, auctioned 4 licenses in a year.
They're very scarce. They're very, very scarce. Yeah.
Yeah, very scarce. So, and then it's like the 4 highest, bidders win the license only for a year though. And after that, it goes back on the market. So obviously they see the potential of the value of weather data, and maybe that's the reason why.
Well, so we all need it. Like we all use it. Like if like for instance, if I could know the exact path of a hurricane, like if WeatherXM allows me to, like, for some reason, like know that with that data they provide, with that like hyper local data they provide, I'm all for it. People are going to need that because everyone's going to want to know that. Like, the knowledge is power, and like if you can provide more accurate knowledge, like that's more power to you. Like, and that's going to create crazy revenue flows.
Yeah, think about like whether it's for insurance, right?
Yes.
If you get to know like very localized weather patterns, and that's going to bring you so much, because as we know, the weather constantly changes.
Yes,
I guess that's weather. So how can you get like the prediction models can need a lot more accuracy, and the high.
There'll be less prediction models too. Like there'll be more they'll just be models. It'll just be showing you what's happening live, as opposed to predicting what's going to happen.
And whether it's a sports, like for I'm thinking like Grand Prix, like F1, definitely will be using, because they know which tires to use. And if you think about that, how lucrative that is, that alone, you know what I mean? So so WeatherXM, again, it's like a sort of, Deepin, I guess, again, like they are on Arbitrum as well. So again, like EVM. So the more I look at them, most of them are EVM L2 blockchains, and I would love to see like some other blockchains. I think Peak will be different, isn't it?
Yeah, Peak. So Peak's it's building its own thing because they wanted to have a specific Deepin RWA blockchain that met the needs of a lot of companies. Whereas you have these like very general use L2s that, while they are great, they're not specific. They're not like case specific to Deepins and RWAs. So it makes more sense to like build on an L1 that like caters to all your needs, as opposed to building on something that might not be as optimized for what you need it to be.
Yeah.
Granted, I think building on an EVM layer 2 is the smartest way to go. It's one of the smartest ways to go because you have Ethereum being like the kind of longest standing L1 smart contract enabled blockchain that is one of the most secure out of all the proof of stakes. And so you have a layer 2 that adopts that security, but just gives you an extra little push on scalability. And I think that's really, really smart for what these these three projects we discussed have done.
And we would love to bring in. I think we'd catch up with the Peak guys one of these days and really catch up with them. And I think I know inside man here somewhere.
You do. I do talk to the Silencio team quite a bit. I'm just saying, if you want to get them on a podcast, we could try.
I think we should hook it up, Will. So three of you, us, and them can jump on, and I think we should have a really good conversation.
Of course. No, we can probably we can ask him for extra points while we're at it too on the side.
Well, we can run the app.
Yeah, I've been needing to. I met Eric, so I got this hat from Eric. He's one of the co-founders, and in Austin, Texas. And I was like, hey, so like, can you guys like slide me some tokens, man? I'm hurting over here. I've been measuring my butt off, dude. Please, like, hook me up, give me a bonus. And he's like, we'll talk later.
I mean, like, look, the community is amazing. When you go to Discord, it's got a really good community, and they're doing some great things, And I think these all these Deepin communities are amazing, right? End of the day, it's they know that they're building for the long term. Yeah, it's not just one-off thing. It's not like, oh, let's pump the token and then just dump it, because now it has a real world element tied into a incentive. So it's like a constantly you can give, and you can really do some game theory stuff. And I think that's what I'm like really cool to see, like, okay, with DIMO, for example, what type of game theory opportunities will arise from that one? With Silencio, for all these, I don't know what you're going to do with the weather though. It'll come you something.
So you hit on some really good points, and I kind of I want to bring it back to the beginning of the conversation we just had, where you talked about how do people need to understand blockchain to use these apps? And that's the beautiful thing, is they don't, because these applications, these Deepins, these RWAs, they naturally fit into our society. Like they add equity, and they add new marketplaces to the common man, like the common person, that they didn't have access to this kind of stuff before, And so they can enter into these Discords, and these Discords are very user friendly, and they're very you can easily get onboarded, I guess. Like I could use that word, onboarded, into blockchain without even really knowing much about blockchain. That's the beautiful thing about Deepins, is because you're just providing, there's a market need and there's money there, and you're just providing a way for users to collect that money. And like that, it's as simple as that. It's literally as simple as that. And no one needs to know beyond that. They just say, oh, I just need to buy this device and I can make tokens. Cool. Or I just need to download these apps and I can make money. Cool. It's super easy. It clicks in the layman's head. It just says, oh yeah, money. Cool. Like I just got to do this one thing. I get money. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And cool. All right. So with the WeatherXM, the token is WXM.
Yes, WXM. The token just released, actually. I believe it came out last month. And I think there was a little bit of like a VC sell-off, if I'm not mistaken. Let's look. And then I mean, typically when it comes to these tokens, if there's not a lockup, you're going to have sell-offs like that just occur. Just for people listening that don't really understand how that stuff works. But don't really don't mind that kind of stuff, because it's normal. It's a normal occurrence. Just make sure you're holding your token or buying more of it, and just kind of, sitting and waiting. As long as there is a data market for that, like as long as there's a market for that data, the token will naturally appreciate, because that money is flowing into the token.
I think that's what it is. It's like it will be tied into like an ecosystem that supports those activities, rather than just like a meme token that really doesn't have anything apart from the meme itself. I mean, the memes are powerful, right, Charlie? You love memes. You love a good meme.
Memes can change the world.
Yeah, I mean, and I've spoke about memes with people. People are just like, I don't understand meme coins, or I don't know why they exist. And I'm like, well, no, meme coins are actually a beautiful thing because it's so interesting that we can actually tie a dollar amount to attention now. You can tie a dollar amount to what you can financialize attention more than you ever could with meme coins. It's kind of insane. So I think they're fine. Like, they're allowed to do what they're allowed to do as long as they're not scamming anyone. That's okay. You know, like it's kind of like a free for all market, right? But I just found WXM. That's the token ticker for WeatherXM. It's currently 72 cents with a market cap of 40 million. In a fully diluted market cap of 72 million. So this stuff is still pretty cheap, man. Still pretty cheap, guys.
Yeah. And I think, with the memes, it really shows the power of belief and people coming together, really. And then that shows out in the price. You know, you've got the community, people coming together. You've got people believing in it, whether it's a laugh or not. And that's what we do with our paper and plastic money. If we all turned around tomorrow, like I know Venezuela, there's garbage bags of money that no one even wants to pick up because everybody's lost belief in it.
You lose confidence in the purchasing power of that thing, and that's why I tell people that don't like Bitcoin, for instance. I'm just like, oh, I don't understand it. It's fake money to me, and I'm like, well, is your money any more real? Like, no, like your money's also fake. It's not based on anything. Like, I'd rather choose the transparent Ponzi scheme that no one controls than the Ponzi scheme that, like, I know I have no control over, and like 5 people get to decide how it all works, you know? And that's why I tell people. They're like, oh, that makes sense. I'm like, there you go. Like, you're getting scammed either way. Just choose the transparent scam.
I like it. You can scam either way. Like, just pick
just pick the one you understand.
And which one do you believe in now?
I always tell people I believe in Bitcoin and like in crypto in general, and more so than a lot of stuff. And like I always I save in Bitcoin. I save in other currencies. I have US dollar liquidity, but I looked at my fiance and said, listen, like, I hope you're on board with me with this. Like, I really believe in this stuff. Like, I've lost complete faith in the US dollar. And she looked at me and said, hey, I you know what you're talking about. I trust you. Let's start saving in this stuff. And it's been paying off. It's been doing great.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. All right. Awesome. I think we're supposed to do it only for half an hour, but I think we have just gone over 1 hour.
Oh yeah, I hear my fiance's stomach grumbling, so I know she's upset.
I think
she's gonna watch us and say that.
Well, with that, Will, make sure you feed the wife, keep her happy.
No, you had a proof of work, proof of love, right?
And show some of that proof of love. And
honey, proof of love.
And we look forward to catching up with you next month, mate.
Thank you, man. No, I can't wait. I love these monthly meetups, and I'm excited to talk about all the new updates by then. So thank you guys for having me on, per usual.